Today I'm making a ring that's in platinum and an 18 karat yellow gold. This is a classic inspired ring. It's got a sapphire in the center, it's got old cut diamonds on the side and also old cut diamonds down the shoulders of the 18 karat gold. My name is Jaco, I've been in the trade for many years and behind the camera as always is Damia. Anyway, enough talking, let me show you what I've done. I'm starting with melting platinum, and I do melt the platinum on the back of a crucible, and I'm doing that because it handles it fairly well. Platinum I don't cast myself personally, I just melt everything on top of each other, make sure the platinum is absolutely clean and get yourself a nice melted blob of platinum. I'm often asked what torch I use to melt platinum. I just use a Smith's little torch. They actually manage fairly well. It will stick to the crucible, but then as it cools down, it will sort of pop off the crucible as the temperatures cool down at different rates. I then turn it around and have a look at the back of it. You might find that the heat didn't transfer all the way down to the bottom, so there might be some pieces still at the bottom that needs to be melted, and I repeat the process. And that way I make sure that I've got a great consistency on second-hand platinum, which I'm rolling out to make a new item with. I always start with the center stones. They sort of determine the balance of the ring itself. So I'm making a plate and I'm keeping in consideration that the plate has to be a certain thickness. And what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about the side profile of the plate as it runs down. I'm using my laser engraver. What a wonderful tool to use in a modern goldsmith workshop. But for all the years before this, I used to just draw it on a piece of technical paper and transfer it with a bit of print. I take a Koki or black marker or a Sharpie and I mark the piece of metal. I often do it without as well. I thought, let me just try that to see if the transfer shows off a little bit better. Once I've done that, it actually worked quite well, and then I just cut the shape out. I'm hoping to use the two stones as a group to support this one center stone. I'm going to drop it down so that the two ends flag down. Between the middle stone and the two side stones, I do a cut with a saw blade. Doesn't matter what saw blade size you're using, so long as you cut it, bend it till it closes again, cut it and bend it until it closes again. The same amount on either sides. Once I've got my angle, I solder and this top section is ready. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be creating the plate underneath this. Now you can make a full plate, like basically a full ring if you wanted to, obviously on the size that you're going for the ring itself, or you can just make a little quarter plate. It doesn't matter, but essentially I've worked with a solid at the top, which I've created into a plate shape, and I'm working with a solid at the bottom, which I'm going to pierce out according to the top. Basically at the end of the plates, right here and right here on the ends where they touch the curvature on the end, I put little spaces of exactly the same size over there to make sure that my height and my angles remain the same. Big fan of platinum because it just works so well, and it's such a fantastic metal to work with once you get to know it. But it's also so refreshing to move from one metal to the other, especially in the same kind of project, because you're not continuously committed to one kind of set of principles. Now I'm going to make the shank, and I'm starting with a straightforward piece of metal that I've rolled out to the thickness that I need. Again, the thickness has a balance and a relationship to the top. Once I've made the ring, if it's a size N, I would maybe make it just fractionally under N. I don't want to be perfectly on N and then have to be nervous about working off the inside and polishing, and if it's maybe going to run slightly over that. I'd like to take the soldering mark where I've soldered it and turn it upside down, because I'm going to be cutting away a section here anyway, which means I'm going to have a completely clean ring all the way around, allowing myself a little bit of space so that when I bring it together, I'd rather have the ring remain on its size and that I can work out a little bit on either sides to make it fit like a glove. My setting is rounded on the ends. I can cut out the angle and then start grooving it out with a round file or a burr, so that I can fit a snug fit from the top. The more metal I have touching, the better the solder is going to be. Now there's one more thing I'm going to do with these rings joining up. The area where I've just created that groove is a little bit of a blunt area for the design. It sort of hugs it just a little bit too far. So I'm taking the edges, if this is the front of the ring, where this is the groove right here, and I'm taking the two edges and I'm bringing them in towards the ring itself. That just creates a little end bit for the ring to present the setting. It's not just a shank that's attached to something beautiful you've built. It now is a shank that presents this something beautiful that you built at the top. Now guys, 18 karat hard solder is the best solder to use in this particular situation. The reason being, if you're using platinum solder, it's got a much higher melting point. These diamonds were old cut. And when I say old cut, I'm not meaning rose cut, inverted sort of stones towards the top. Not that. They're what they refer to in the UK as mine cuts. Mine cut stones aren't perfectly round, and they're beautiful. They really are, because they step out of the realm of neutrality. But how do I take a stone that's not perfectly symmetrical and I make it perfectly symmetrical in a ring that has a symmetrical feature to it? I take these diamonds and I create the closest round setting. Now this is where platinum works, because platinum can get a really high reflection on it, and once you've set the stone, it can kind of hide the idea that it's not perfectly round, and they work wonderful. And the diamond's purpose in the shank is to make that area glitter. Cut work counts a lot here. This is a big part of my work, is where we're recycling old jewelry from families, and people want to give it new meaning. They want to give it new style that fits them. They also have separate pieces that might have a diamond missing over there, or a pendant without any purpose. We bring all of that together and we make something beautiful with something that already has meaning. We're in a wonderful game here. Everybody's happy and you can make a living from it. What more can you ask? Please don't be shy to press those buttons, the like, the subscribe, share buttons. If you've got anything that you can add to any of these videos, remember your comments get read by other viewers, and there's a good communication between goldsmiths. See it as a community more than anything else. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.